今天要分享的改编故事是余音绕梁，希望能在学习英语的路上给你带来收获。你的每个点赞和订阅都是对我莫大的鼓励。那么，咱们开始吧。
You know that feeling when a song ends, but you still hear it playing in your head? Maybe you're walking down the street, and for a moment, the melody is still there, stuck in your mind. Most of the time, it fades in a few seconds. But what if a voice was so beautiful, it stayed with you for 3 whole days? This is not just a feeling. In ancient China, there was a story about a woman who could do exactly that. Her name was Han Yi. She lived during the Warring States period, a time of endless battles and long roads. People traveled for weeks just to get from one city to another. Han Yi was a singer. She had no money, no family to rely on, just her voice. One day, she was walking east to the state of Qi. The road was long, and her food ran out. She arrived at the Yong Gate, which was the main entrance to the city of Linzi. She was hungry. She had nothing to trade except her voice. So, she did the only thing she could. She stood near the gate, opened her mouth, and began to sing. Now, you have to imagine this. The city gate was huge, made of thick wooden beams. The streets were crowded with farmers, traders, and soldiers. No one was paying attention to a hungry traveler. But then, she started to sing. The sound came out, and everything stopped. People selling vegetables froze. Soldiers carrying weapons turned their heads. The sound was so pure, so sweet, it didn't just float in the air, it filled the space. It hit the wooden beams above their heads and bounced back down. It wrapped around the pillars. When she finished, people threw coins and food at her feet. She ate, she rested, and then she left. But here's where the story gets strange. She walked away. She left the city. But the people standing at the gate didn't move. They were looking up at the beams. They were listening. Because even though Han Yi was gone, her voice was not. It was still there. It hung in the air. It circled the roof beams. One day passed. Then 2 days. The song did not stop. For 3 full days, everyone who passed through the Yong Gate could hear her voice echoing above them. They thought she was still there, hiding somewhere. But she was miles away. That is the origin of the phrase "the sound lingers around the beams." But the story of Han Yi does not end there. After she left the gate, she found a small inn to sleep for the night. But the innkeeper was a rude man. He saw she was poor. He looked at her worn clothes and treated her badly. He shouted at her, pushed her out, and refused her a place to rest. Han Yi was heartbroken. She had sung for these people. She had given them her gift. And now, A stranger was kicking her out like trash. She turned around and walked into the night. As she walked, she began to weep. But she did not weep quietly. She let out a long, sorrowful cry. Think about the most painful sound you have ever heard. Now multiply that by 100. Her cry echoed through the village. It was so sad, so full of grief, that the entire village changed. Old men and women sat down and cried. Children stopped playing and sobbed. For 3 days, no one in that village could eat. The joy was sucked out of the air. The innkeeper realized what had happened. He ran out of his inn and chased her down the road. He grabbed her and begged, "Please, come back. Please come back and sing a happy song." So Hani returned. She stood in the middle of the village. She took a deep breath. And she sang a song of joy. It worked instantly. The crying stopped. The old people started to smile. The children began to dance. Everyone was jumping and clapping, forgetting all the sadness they had felt just moments before. When she finally left that village, she was not hungry anymore. The people gave her so much money and food, she could travel wherever she wanted. Here's the thing about that story. In Chinese history, we have two famous ideas about music. One is about Confucius. It is said that when he heard a perfect piece of music, he could not taste meat for 3 months. The music was so good. It took away his desire for physical pleasure. But Hani is different. Her voice didn't just make people forget food. Her voice could control the weather of human emotion. She could pour sadness into a room so thick it stopped people from eating. She could pour joy into a crowd so strong it made their bodies move without thinking. The phrase "余音绕梁," the lingering sound, is usually used to describe a beautiful song. But when you look at the original story, it's about something else. It's about the weight of sound. It's about how a voice, or a piece of music, can sit in a space longer than the person who made it. In a way, we all have a version of Hani in our lives. There are words that were said to you years ago that you still hear when you lie in bed at night. There is a laugh from someone you lost that still echoes in your memory. There is a song you heard on a bad day that, even now, can pull you back into that feeling. Sound is physical. It vibrates off walls. But emotion? Emotion vibrates off the soul. And sometimes, it never really leaves. That is why, thousands of years later, we still remember Hani. Not because she had a perfect voice, but because she proved that what comes out of a person can be more powerful and last longer than the person themselves. So, the next time a song gets stuck in your head, pay attention. It might just be a tune. Or it might be a ghost. A piece of someone's soul. Still circling the beams.
下集请移步主页观看。